You are listening to the Fly the W670 podcast, episode 64, season 3. Cubs take down the Twins. Don't forget to listen, download, review, most importantly, subscribe to the podcast, follow on all the socials. Fly the W670 on Twitter, Instagram, Fly the W on Facebook, or email us at flythew670@gmail.com. Crawly, happy Thursday, and happy Cubs win a series.
Yeah, against a playoff contending team in the Minnesota Twins, a really good offensive team. It was a really good showing by the Cubs.
Absolutely right. Yes, it was there. And listen, at this point, they are definitely in do or die mode, right? They have to win every series moving forward.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And even that doesn't guarantee you anything.
No.
But all you can do is your job. But now you're at a point where you need a little bit of help as well.
So game number one, moving back a couple days, was Kyle Hendricks on the mound.
Yep, Kyle Hendricks versus David Festa. Not necessarily a marquee pitching matchup, but it turned out there wasn't going to be a lot of offense in this one. Kyle Hendricks pitched well. Minnesota scored their first run in the third inning, where once again we've had some bad communication between Cubs defenders. With one out, Willie Castro drew a walk, and Trevor Larnach singled to put runners at the corners. Royce Lewis hit a sac fly to give the Twins a 1-0 lead. Now, Dustin, here's where it gets strange. With the runner on first and two outs, Matt Wallner hits one. It looks a lot closer to Mike Tauchman than to PCA. I don't know if PCA called for it. I know he lost it in the twilight, but it bounced right next to Tauchman. And for some reason, Larnach, who was on second with two outs, wasn't running on contact. He gets thrown out at the plate. We talked about this in the last episode. This instance, of defensive lapse didn't cost them this time. But it's just another example of this team just having miscommunication issues. They got to get it right.
Got to get it right.
Manuel Margot hit a solo home run in the fifth. That's usually when Kyle gets into trouble. I'm going, uh-oh. But all that was all the damage he gave up. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs on 5 hits, 1 walks and 5 Ks against one of the top offenses in baseball. You take that every day of the week. Now, Dustin, that was Kyle's 262nd start of his career, tying Larry Cochran from the 1800s for 10th most in Cubs history.
I knew he was up there. I didn't realize it dated that far back, but I did see that he was top 10. Wow.
Yeah, top 10. So that guy that he tied right there was from the 1800s, Larry Cochran, and so next start should make him 9th. But unfortunately, the Cubs offense once again made a nobody pitcher look like a Cy Young contender. David Festa, the starter for the Twins, came in the game with a 6.98 ERA. Average gives up roughly 7 runs a game. Now get this, Dustin. Festa's ERA, right? You talk about first, second time, third time through the order. First time through the order, his ERA is 0. Second time around the order, his ERA is 17.05.
Wow, there's a jump.
Third time through the order, it's 9. So what did the Cubs offense do? They allowed him to pitch 5 scoreless innings. He only gave up 2 hits, 2 walks, and had a career high 9 Ks. Only twice did the Cubs have more than 2 runners on in an inning, in the third and fifth. Both times it was with 2 outs and they couldn't get a hit. But how many times, Dustin, this season does some no-name pitcher come in and pitch the game of his life, has career-high strikeouts, best he's ever looked? I can't even count the amount of times it's happened.
Right. I think I may have speculated that when we were given the predictions that I was worried about this game because the excuse was going to be we didn't have any tape on this guy, and that looks like what happened once again.
But whether it's tape, whether it's how often you've seen him, whether it's whatever, that's the whole point. Okay, first, maybe second time through the order, that's going to be tough. Third time in the order, they should have been hitting this guy like a piñata, and they still did nothing.
Still didn't do it right.
So
correct.
The Twins bullpen also shut down the Cubs offense. 4 different relievers, each pitched 1 inning. Combined, they gave up 2 hits and no walks. The Cubs offense struck out 14 times in the game and were shut out for the 11th time this season and the 4th time since the All-Star break. So it was a really bad start.
Yeah, really bad start, especially after you have a really good series right before that, taking 3 of 4 from the Cardinals. Arguably, you kind of gave away the Saturday game, could have swept the Cardinals, and you're feeling kind of good about what's going on. And then you get that, and you feel like that's it. But you went to the game number 2. This was Tuesday, and Shota Imanaga did pitch, and we were wondering if he would, and he did.
Yeah, we were wondering on the last podcast if Shota was going to make the start. It was only the 5th time Shota has started on normal 4-day rest and the first time he's done it in back-to-back starts. So how'd he do? Not too shabby. He sat down the first 10 Twinkies he faced, ran into some trouble in the 4th with 1 out. He walked Carlos Santana, and Royce Lewis hit a 2-run homer into the basket. That then Shota sat down 11 of the next 12 Twins he faced. Extremely economical with his pitches. He was able to go 7 innings, gave up 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 walk. He tied his career high with 10 Ks. Dustin, Marquis put up this graphic that showed how Shota does on different days of rest. And, I'm just going to tell you right now, every time this guy goes out there, he's just giving you, it doesn't seem to matter what the rest is. The only thing that really hurt him was when they gave him the super extended rest, 10 days. On 4 days rest, right? He's had 4 starts, 198 ERA, pitches 6.8 innings per start. 5 starts where he went on 5 days rest, 11 starts on 5 days rest, 362 ERA, 5.4 innings per start. And then he's made 4 starts of 6 or more days rest, 386 ERA, and innings per start were 5.8. So
the Cubs should go to a 4-man rotation.
seems like it's not bothering him too much. But again, I think the Cubs have been really smart with how they've handled him. So far, so good. After getting shut out the night before, the offense was able to put up a couple crooked numbers. First inning, 2 outs. Seiya Suzuki and Cody Bellinger singled. And then Isaac Paredes, who's struggled since coming to the Cubs offensively, hits his first home run, a 3-run homer. We talked about, it was a basket shot, Dustin. We talked about it on the last podcast. By my count, now, all 7 games in this homestand featured 1 home run basket, and this game had 2. We have to find out if that's some kind of record. I don't know if anyone's kept those stats. And so this is a picture I took from the game. If you're on the 670 The Score YouTube channel, they were getting Paredes' home run out of the basket since that was his first Cubs one. So that's obviously one that's a keepsake. They didn't want someone grabbing it and pulling the old switcheroo, those type of things. So congratulations on that one. In the 3rd inning, Michael Busch would walk Seiya and Belly would fly out. So with 2 out, Isaac Paredes hit a shallow fly ball. There's 2 outs. So Busch is already running on when the pitch is thrown. Willie Harris sends him, and the throw was up the line, allowing Busch to score. But Paredes was thrown out at second to end the inning. Wild play, but now the Cubs were up 4-0. Bottom of the second, Isaac Paredes led off with a walk, advanced to second on a Nico Horner ground out, and Dansby Swanson would triple to score Nico and make it 5-2. Then with PCA up, there was a wild pitch to score Nico, 6-2. Christian Vasquez would homer off Drew Smiley in the top of the 8th to pull the Twins to within 6-3. But then the Cubs had 3 straight singles in the bottom of the frame. Nico, then Dansby to put runners at the corners, and PCA with an RBI single to put the Cubs up 7-3. That's how this one would end. Cubs offense scored 7 runs on 11 hits. Isaac Paredes was 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs and a 3-run homer. Dansby was 3 for 4 with an RBI. How about this one, Dustin? The Cubs are 17-4 in games that Shota Imanaga starts. So as we kind of move on to game 3, Javier Assad versus Joe Ryan. This one was the rubber game, 120 start. Dustin, this was the one that made me nervous, Assad versus Ryan.
Yep.
Assad has just been struggling, and Ryan's just a good, solid pitcher. I thought he was going to give the Cubs trouble. Twins jumped out an early lead as Assad walked the second batter he faced, Trevor Larnach. He got Jose Miranda to fly out on a great defensive play by PCA, but with 2 outs, Matt Wallner doubled to put the Twins up 1-0. The Cubs would answer back in the bottom of the frame. Michael Busch crushed his 16th homer to tie the game up. The home run had an exit velo of 107.9 miles per hour. How about this, Dustin, about most home runs as a first baseman Cubs rookies since 1975. Frank Schwindel, again, I don't know if you consider him a rookie, Dustin, in your book, but he had 9 in 2021. Anthony Rizzo, 15 in 2012. Michael Busch has 16 with about a month and a half to go in the season in 2024. So
I guess their Cub rookie season, I guess we could put that little asterisk on it.
Cubs rookie season, correct.
No, not their rookie season.
So again, when you talk about rookie season, are you talking about number of at-bats? Because
well, again, I argue about that all the time. I mean, I don't consider Michael Busch a rookie.
Because how many games did he play? I guess
enough. He played. He played, and it was more than 2 or 3. It wasn't one game. It was multiple.
Is PCA a rookie?
Yes, PCA is a rookie. Yes.
Because he started some games in September or played games in September last year.
Yeah, but I think, maybe my threshold would be like 20, 25 at bats.
All right, 20-25 at bats for your threshold.
And you can't have played professionally in any other league. See Shota Imanaga.
Either way, good for the Cubs. Top of the second, more trouble for Assad. He gives up back-to-back singles to lead off the inning to Carlos Santana and Max Kepler to put runners at the corners with no outs. Brooksley would ground out to score that run, and the Twins are back up 2-0. So I said Joe Ryan's a really solid pitcher. Bottom of the third, PCA's leading off. Ryan feels something after throwing a pitch, and he immediately calls for the trainer. He's out of the game with a right tricep tightness. So manager Rocco Bardelli calls on Trevor Richards to take over for Ryan. And oh boy, calling it a bad inning for Richards doesn't even begin to describe it.
No, very strange inning.
He gave up a single to PCA, who stole his 22nd consecutive base without being caught. That's the second most consecutive successful stolen base attempts to begin the season as a rookie since 1951. So next up, Mitchell Page, who had 26 straight as a rookie with the A's in 1977. So you got PCA on second. Richards walks Christian Bethancourt, gets Ian Happ to ground out. So Bethancourt's out at second, but Happ's able to beat it out. He steals second. Bush walks, bases loaded. Sayed takes ball 4 to walk in the run. That game's tied at 2. Isaac Paredes hits a sac fly to put the Cubs up 3-2. Dustin, the thing I liked about that at bat, with Christopher Morel, he struck out so often. What you're seeing with Paredes is he makes contact with the ball. And so maybe he got an out there, but he's able to drive in a run, right? Instead of it being maybe 2 outs, right, with the bases loaded. Richards was going to throw then a wild pitch to score Bush. That makes it 4-2. Mike Tauchman walks. Wild pitch moves the runner up 90 feet. And then Nico Horner walks before Bardelli mercifully throws in the towel on Richards. Calls out Cole Sands out of the pen to get the final out. The Cubs scored 3 runs in the inning on 1 hit, 5 walks, 2 stolen bases, and 2 wild pitches. The next inning, Christian Bethancourt hit a ground rule double, and Ian Happ homered to increase the Cubs' lead to 6-2. Javier Assad's trouble with keeping his pitch count down continued. He only went 4 innings, gave up 2 runs on 3 hits, 2 walks, and 1 K, but he threw 75 pitches in only 4 innings of work. So that meant that the bullpen, once again, is going to have to cover 5 innings. But the bullpen continues to do a phenomenal job. Smiley pitched 1 inning. Jorge Lopez pitched 2, and then Hodge and Merriweather each pitched 1 inning. Cubs bullpen went 4 innings, gave up no runs, only 3 hits, no walks, and 6 Ks.
That's efficient. That is efficient right there.
Yep, and the Cubs were able to add 2 more insurance runners in the 8th on a Dansby Swanson RBI single and a Christian Bethancourt double, as the Cubs are going to take this game 8-2. They're going to take the series again against a playoff caliber team in the Twins. The Cubs are 19-10 against AL teams and 6-2 against AL Central opponents. The Cubs have won 8 of their last 12 games since July 27th. They finished the homestand against the Cardinals and Twins, both playoff teams right now, are in the hunt, and with a record of 5-2. So, Dustin, I guess when we look at this homestand, the question has to be what's changed, right? And there's a couple things. Since July 30th, the Cubs own the 3rd highest batting average, 327, and the highest slugging percentage, 577, in the National League with runners in scoring position. Okay? So the Cubs had 27 runs and 24 RBIs with runners in scoring position. That ranks 2nd in the NL since July 30th. So those runners in scoring position that has killed the Cubs all season, once they start doing that, now it's turning around. How about this? Since June 27th, the Cubs bullpen has the MLB best 1.59 ERA, 20 earned runs in 113 innings pitched. So that the Cubs relievers have not allowed a run in 20 of 34 games and have held opponents to 1 run or fewer in 29. So, Dustin, you got runners in scoring position, much better. The bullpen, much better. The final thing, Dustin, that really has been the key to this, the Cubs playing as well as they have lately, is production from the bottom of the lineup, right? And this was something that Jordan Bastian put out at Cubs.com. Dansby Swanson's been hitting 7th in the lineup, right? In his last 25 games, he's slashing 326, 379, 430 with 6 extra base hits. PCA, the Cubs' 8th batter in his last 12 games. He's hitting 317, 333, 488 with 3 doubles and 2 triples. And then the Cubs catching tandem, which has usually been batting ninth. Right now, you got Miguel Amaya in the past 18 games dating back to July 7th. He's slashing 298, 365, 468. And Christian Bethancourt in his short time has 2 doubles in Wednesday's win. That's a 429 average, 6 for 14, 4 extra base hits, 5 RBIs in 5 games. And the Cubs have gone undefeated in all 4 of the games Christian started in. So you have your 7, 8, and 9 hitters are all contributing massively to this team. And then when you got Nico Horner at 6, he can drive in runs and he can also get on base, allowing all these guys behind him to score. And you're starting to see a much different Cubs team. We've talked about how the Cubs don't have slug. If you don't have slug, then you have to be able to do what they've been doing, which is runners in scoring position.
Right. Plus, again, he hasn't been fantastic. He's coming along a little bit, but Paredes, moves everybody down a spot. So he was definitely going to make the lineup overall better. And that's exactly what's been happening so far.
Well, let's keep it going.
This is season 3, episode 64. The Cubs take down the Twins. You're listening to the Fly the W670 podcast. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. You can email us at flythew670gmail.com. Don't forget to watch us on the 670 The Score YouTube page. In this segment, Crawly is talking to Cubs Spanish broadcaster Miguel Esparza about singing the national anthem on Puerto Rican Heritage Day at Wrigley, the importance of cultural celebrations at the friendly confines, and his relationship with the Latino ball players.
Lanzamiento. Swing le pone el bate. La manda al izquierdo. Pica. Y los Chicago Cubs van a ganar el partido. Mike Troutman. Walk on. Bonito. Los Chicago Cubs 5. Los Cardenales 4. Y se escucha el Go Cubs Go.
I got to tell you, Miguel, that little woo at the end did it all. Joining me now on the Fly the W podcast, our old friend, Spanish broadcaster for the Cubs, Bears, Bulls, Hawks, pretty much any sports team in Spanish, Miguel Esparza. Miguel, how are you doing?
Crawly, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing good. Look, I'm at Wrigley. There's no going wrong here.
Yeah, I was at the game the other day. You came by, and it was Jorge and Noe, and you came by to visit me and Danny. And I said, hey, my seats are pretty good. And you said, well, mine are a little bit better. And you got that beautiful view of Lake Michigan that I think, like, for people that don't understand, that if you've never been in the press box or the area where you guys call the games from, like, you don't realize you see the lake and the boats and all that stuff from your perch.
It's a thing of beauty, every time I get to come here and sit where I'm at and just be able to admire everything that Wrigley has to offer and the beautiful city of Chicago. It's just great.
Now, the reason I had this is going to be good here. Now, the other day, the Cubs, I think, have been doing a really cool job celebrating a lot of different cultures. They've been doing, I know, Italian, Mexican American. They're going to have Polish coming up. But on August 5th, it was Puerto Rican Heritage Day. And so if you go to Cubs.com and let's say you're Italian or you're Mexican or you're Puerto Rican, you go to the special events ticket page and you can get these hats that you get out at Gallagher Way. You pick it up. And Miguel, you are, like myself, bicultural. You are both Hispanic and Puerto Rican. So I know you've been there for Mexican Heritage Day. What was it like there for Puerto Rican Heritage Day?
It's very cool, and I love that the Cubs are doing that, celebrating all different cultures. My father is from Ciudad Juárez, Mexico. My mom is from San Sebastián, Puerto Rico. So to be able to celebrate both of those cultures, I lived in Puerto Rico for a while, went to school in Puerto Rico. Yeah, I played a lot of volleyball in Puerto Rico because I know everyone's watching volleyball now and everything, So it was just one of those things, right? To be able to celebrate it here, see all the flags around Wrigley Field, the music out at Gallagher Way. The cap was designed beautifully. And then to cap it off, they invited me to sing the national anthem. And that was special in itself, just because, again, honoring our country, but at the same time, my heritage. So it was very special.
Now, is your mom able? I've met your dad before. I met your brother before. Was your mom able to make it out to the game?
Unfortunately, no. They are currently in Texas, so they weren't able to make it out here. They were bummed, but they were loving the video and sharing it on social media. So, yeah, they were here in a sense.
In spirit, right? Well,
Yes.
we've had you on before, and I know you've sung the 7th inning stretch. What would it be, 4 or 5 times now?
Yeah, about.
So you're a regular now. Like, you're just like an old hat. But when did you find out that they wanted you to sing the national anthem before the game?
So this was my 3rd anthem here at Wrigley, and I don't know, maybe about 2 weeks ago, I received an email. They were inviting me to sing the anthem, and I was like, man, I don't want to do it. I get super nervous. It's one of those things that every time they ask me, I ask myself, why do I accept? So I didn't accept right away, and I thought about it. I pondered upon it, and I was like, man, you know what? Let me just let this simmer here for a little bit. But then I realized that it was the Puerto Rican Heritage Night, and I said, well, I got to put my big boy pants on and sing the national anthem. And so it took me a while, but I did it. And again, it's just a thing that I don't know why, but nerves take over. But it was great at the end.
I've never sung the national anthem. I never will sing the national anthem anywhere. But I'll tell you what the difference is. I know you've done the stretch. And with the stretch, that's kind of just silly and funny. You know what I mean? Like Harry Carey was an awful singer, and he's the one that kind of started that. And if you want, you could just take the microphone and just put it out the window where you're at. No worries. But the anthem, all eyes are on you. It's much more sacred. Everybody's taking a look at it. So there's a picture of you right here. Singing the anthem.
Looking at that, Crawly, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but looking at that picture makes me nervous again.
But I think
it was funny. It was funny because Jerry, the cameraman, is standing in front of me. The moment they tell you, okay, go walk up, you're going to stand over there. I'm like, man, this is real, right? And then Jerry stands right in front of me. I said, Jerry, it's you and me. And the moment the camera lens just expands on you like that, that's when it was just like, okay, there's no turning back here.
And so you sing. I think the funny thing is, it's more and more people. When you and I first started talking, you kind of a little cult following, but now you've kind of just gotten bigger and bigger. But I think there's still people that somehow don't realize, A, yes, you broadcast games, and B, you can sing. So it's kind of like when they see that for the first time, like I know the first time I saw it, when I saw you singing some Elvis, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. So once the anthem's over, and I know you walk around a lot at the ballpark, I see you at Gallagher Way and stuff. Do you feel like more and more people are starting to recognize you? And did you see a lot of Puerto Rican people that maybe thought, oh, I thought you were Mexican, not realizing that you are bicultural?
Yeah, it's been one of those things that it's been great to have the connection with everyone around the ballpark, even, when we're coming into the ballpark and just walking around. But yeah, there was a lot of people that to this day, today, when I'm walking in, they're still telling me, I didn't know you could sing. Hey, you had a great set of pipes, things like that a lot of people don't realize. And a lot of people, there's people that never knew that I was half Puerto Rican. Now, during that celebration, I didn't get that a lot, but yeah, there's people that still think that I'm just Mexican. But at the same time, I embrace both my cultures. I'm very blessed to have the best of 3 worlds, born and raised here in Chicago, mom from Puerto Rico, dad from Mexico. I get it all.
Unfortunately, there's people that don't understand as far as like, oh, well, why do you got to have a Mexican American night? Why do you got to have a Polish American night? Can you explain to fans what makes it special to kind of have your heritage recognized by the fan base that you love?
Yeah, it's very special because, again, we come to these games, and I say this as when I was coming as a fan as well, and you want to see that representation. You see the different players on the field, and it makes you proud to see, for example, when you see Jorge Lopez come up and you see on the little screens on both right and left field, and it says he's from Puerto Rico. You see that. You see when Tomas Nido came in, and you see that on the board when he's up to bat. So that in itself makes you very proud. You see Zach Paredes, Sonora, and you see that kind of stuff. But when you see that the Cubs embrace it and are celebrating the cultures, it's very special because it gives us that sense of being important to the team, right? To say this group of people we care about them, and we want to make sure that they feel welcome here at Wrigley Field.
And not only that, introducing maybe people that aren't big baseball fans, you can bring them into the ballpark and they can see how awesome it is and that they are welcomed at Wrigley Field.
There are a lot of people that my sister's friends, a lot of people that really never came out to a game, but they saw that they were going to do that celebration and they were at the ballpark, so it helps, like you said, open the doors to people that might have not come to a baseball game in the past.
Now, you talked about players, and the Cubs do have some Puerto Rican players on their team, and you got to interview Jorge Lopez. Jorge Lopez obviously came to the Cubs. He was with the Mets prior to that, and you got to ask him about, his thoughts about the Puerto Rican Heritage Day. What did it mean to the players from Puerto Rico when you got to talk to them and ask them about their thoughts about Puerto Rican Heritage Day?
Well, he was very excited. Again, he says, it's always good to bring baseball to our people as well. And he felt happy to say that he could have that hat alongside the team, with the team logo on that hat, the team that he plays for. So he was very happy about that. I showed him the hat before. I'm sure he got a hat, but before I showed him, he was like, man, this is a great design. So again, I know these players are super excited to get that kind of recognition of the different cultures.
Now, one of the things, Miguel, that I sit there and I struggle with sometimes is, doing this podcast and stuff, is you get to know the players on a human level, and you almost kind of forget, it's trying to separate the fan from the person, from the player.
Of course.
And I know somebody that was very close to you was Christopher Morel. Christopher Morel was one of the first guys I think that I remember you really kind of doing like a special interview with. And then I remember at Club 400, you got to interview him, and I got to know him a little bit too, not to the level you did, but you kind of become friendly with these players. They mean a lot to you, not just on a team level, but on a personal level. How hard was it for you to, we know it's a business, but how hard was it for you to hear that Christopher Morel got traded? I know he's had to have been one of your favorite guys.
Oh, for sure. Great kid, and again, it was a sense of shock when it happened, right? Jorge was the one that actually sent it out to our group chat. He said, hey, Morel got traded. And instantly I go to watch, and that's when they show him, right? Third inning, saying the goodbyes and whatnot. So it hit hard. And like you said, we were able to establish a good relationship with him from the get-go. We always spoke about how we were going to be connected because of his first ever home run and the way he debuted here at Wrigley Field. And that interview that you're talking about is with Cubs Productions on Baseball y Más on their YouTube. And I remember one of our things was showing the players the call. And he's like, every time I hear this, all I say is La Botó, so he was embracing my home run call. And again, a great guy who would always give us that time of day. And I know the fans are going to miss him because he was just electric, a great personality. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's a business, and we have to move forward to make sure that there's a competitive team on the field. And hopefully one day I can put a ring on this finger.
Absolutely. Now, is there, I love that Baseball y Más series. And again, there are some new Latino players when you're talking about Isaac Paredes, and you're talking about some of the new guys, Jorge Lopez, who you interviewed. Is there any plans to kind of do a few more of those Baseball y Más so that we can kind of get to know some of these Latino players?
We've talked about it. However, there's nothing set yet. But yes, we definitely want to get back to that series because, again, that was an Emmy-nominated series, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to get it back on track. But it's something that we have spoken about, and it's important for the players. Jorge spoke to Hector Neris yesterday, and he was telling about how he would like to see that connection with the fans as well, and be able to put out that kind of content. So I know he'd be open to something like that. He's a great guy. From the moment he got here, Hector Neris has been very embracing as well. There's a good group of people down there.
And when you talk about Hector Neris, he's one of those guys that everybody says is a leader for all the guys in the bullpen, but especially for the Latino guys that are going to come up. And sometimes, you got these kids that come up from AAA, like Daniel Palencia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To have a guy like Hector Neris to be able to talk to, not just about baseball, but also about life and culture and stuff like that, it makes a big difference. I mean, I know Pedro Strop was for many years that guy.
Right.
And so Hector brings that leadership quality to everybody in the bullpen, but especially the Latino players.
Yeah, no, for sure, and you could see it, right? That's something that you could see, that connection that he has with his players as well. And again, I think there's a good group of guys down there. Not only the Latino players, but these players, they're a great group for sure.
So Miguel, I appreciate you for jumping on. You're getting ready for
My
the
pleasure.
game. 120 start against the Twins today. Tell our listeners where they can find all of your work on the socials, especially some of those fantastic home run calls. And don't forget that you can listen to Miguel and Noe and or Jorge Moreno and everybody by hitting the SAP button on the TV.
Yeah, that's important. There's a lot of people that don't realize that option is there, but you switch over that audio where they're alternate audio. So go ahead, click on that. You can also listen on the MLB app that gives you the option for the different broadcasts. You can listen there. If you're in Chicago, we're on 1200 AM. And then on social media, you can find me as Miguel's Voice on Twitter or X, however you want to call it, and Instagram.
I appreciate you jumping on, Miguel. Have a great call in today's game.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
This is episode 64, season number 3. Cubs take down the Twins. We're going to get you the roster moves. We're going to talk about the White Sox preview, and we'll look at the standings. But don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave us one of those 5-star reviews. You can email us at flythew670gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us on the 670 The Score YouTube channel. So, Crawly, after that 5-2 homestand, how do the standings look?
Well, the Cubs are out of last place. Cincinnati, 9.5 games back. The Cubs only 3 games behind 500 right now. So they're 9 games back from Milwaukee. Pittsburgh, 56 and 57, 8 games back. The Cardinals are 6 games back, and Milwaukee alone atop first place, 64 and 49. When we look at the wild card, though, it's just so wild. You have the Arizona Diamondbacks are a really hot team, one of the hottest in baseball. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. Mm-hmm. So are the Padres, 8-2 in their last 10 games. Both have 4-game winning streaks. The Braves are starting to sputter. They're 5-5 in their last 10 on a 4-game losing streak. And so those are the 3 teams that would make the playoffs if the season ended today. Then you have the Mets, the Cardinals, the Giants, the Pirates, the Cubs, and the Reds. But if you look at it, the Cubs are really only 3 games behind the win column against the Mets. And so, I mean, you're still not out of it. And I've been kind of, I'm getting to the point of the year where I'm starting to get antsy. I'm looking at schedules, and I feel like the Cubs have an easier schedule than most of the teams ahead of them. Again, it's just doing your job and hopefully able to take series, from here on out.
Yeah, we got to take the series from here on out. That's what it's all about. No doubt about that.
Now, we have some sad news for you and me, Dustin. I don't know everyone's going to be too upset about this, but there will be no Chris Kindlemart, and I believe no Winter Wonderland at Wrigley. The news was put out by the Chris Kindle Market at Wrigleyville Facebook page. Due to the NHL Winter Classic and additional programming, Chris Kindle Market will not take place at Wrigleyville Gallagher Way this year. Organizers regret any inconvenience this may cause and appreciate the community's understanding. They look forward to returning to Lakeview in future years. So, Dustin, there's a couple things going on. Obviously, Northwestern's getting a new football field. So there's going to be 2 games in November played at Wrigley Field, the Northwestern football team, and then the NHL Winter Classic. So it just doesn't seem like there'd be enough time to get this all done and make it worth it for them. So that's it. Not going to happen this year.
Not going to happen this year. It is disappointing, really like going last year, but there is some good news, right? CubsCon tickets packages are available now, right? Wednesday.
Yep. On Wednesday, they were available. Now, what happens here is that the Cubs do 2 things. First things that they do is that they do the hotel ticket package. And so you get the hotel at the Sheraton, and it includes the tickets into the price on that, your CubCon passes. They will later on just sell individual passes as we get closer to the winter time, closer to December. So I did get my hotel package for what will be my 25th straight Cubs convention. Wow. So
25. Look at you.
Looking forward to it. Can't wait. My favorite time of year.
All right, so let's now talk about some injury updates. Ian Happ was hurt. Seiya was hurt, but thankfully both guys are back, and now Cody Bellinger's hurt.
Right. Ian had the shoulder that was bothering him trying to stop that triple against, the other day again. And so he looked fine. He was in the lineups. Seiya had a stiff neck. He was out of the game Monday against the Twin. He's okay. But Cody Bellinger, I was at that game on Tuesday. He beat out an infield single. And he kind of hyperextended his knee. So he's day to day. Obviously, there's no game today. He was out of the lineup Wednesday. So hopefully by Friday, he'll be ready to go. Give him some time to heal up. Jordan Wicks is making a rehab start on Saturday for your Iowa Cubs. Keegan Thompson has been activated off the IL and it was optioned to the Cubs. So he was doing his rehab there, but now he can officially get called up if the Cubs need him. Some sad news, Dustin. It was reported that Adbert Alzolay is going to undergo Tommy John surgery to repair a tear in his UCL. Chances are he will miss the entire 2025 season recovering from Tommy John surgery. The Cubs have him under contract through the 2026 season, but it's a tough injury to come back from and really sad because he's a really good kid.
Yep. Seems like a great guy. We'll see what happens in the future with him.
Yeah, hopefully he bounces back. But Dustin, here we go with the Crosstown Classic. Cubs.
Can we call it that anymore? Is it really a classic anymore?
Classic. It'll always be a classic. What can you say about the 2024 White Sox? They may end up being one of the worst teams in MLB history. They are currently 28-89, good for last place in the AL Central, and they have the worst record in all of baseball. Dustin, the team with the next worst record, the Colorado Rockies, have 42 wins. So the White Sox are 14 games behind the next worst team. They finally snapped an AL record-tying 21-game losing streak against the A's on Tuesday night.
They couldn't even do that right. They couldn't even get to the point where it was Cubs Sox on Friday with the all-time losingest streak on the line and Garrett Crochet pitching. I mean, you talk about getting this thing hyped up. That would have been some serious hype. They soxed that up as well.
Right. They lost the game on Wednesday, so they lost 2 of their last games to the Oakland A's. They've lost, obviously, 9 out of their last 10. Today, big news I'm sure if you've been listening on 670 The Score, the White Sox have mercifully fired their manager, Pedro Grifol, who was 28-89 and 101 games under 500 in less than 2 seasons. Unreal. Were the phone lines lit up, Dustin?
Oh yeah, a lot of angry Sox fans will keep it going. And there's been more news. They have named Sizemore the interim, and they have fired a couple other coaches as well. So lots happening over at 35th and Shields.
Now, Dustin, help me out here because I don't always pay 100% attention to what's going on in the AL Central. Has Grady Sizemore, does he have any coaching experience? I mean, I know
he's been with the Sox in the dugout as a coach of some sort. I don't have all the details, but he has been around the team. He does have a uniform. He has been in the dugout.
Okay, so interesting on that one. As bad as the White Sox have been this season, the Cubs nearly lost both games they played against the Southsiders at Wrigley in June. The Cubs were down 5-0 in the first game after a key Christopher Morel error, but the Cubs scored 1 in the 5th, 4 in the 6th, and 2 in the 8th to win it 7-6. I was at that game, and then the Cubs were down 5-1 in the second game, came back and took a 6-5 lead before giving up a home run to Paul DeJong to tie it in the 8th. But Mike Tauchman hit a walk-off homer in the bottom of the 9th, and the Cubs did sweep a 2-game set at Clark and Addison. It just wasn't 2 comfortable wins. And
Never.
This White Sox team looks very different from the ones the Cubs faced in June. Right before the trade deadline, they got rid of a lot of guys: Michael Kopech, Tommy Pham, Eric Fetty, Paul DeJong, Tanner Bank, and Eloy Jimenez, which means, Dustin, we no longer have to hear that stupid "Thanks Cubs" by NBC's White Sox Sports. Thank God that's finally over.
No, it can always come back, Crawly. I can't say that I'll be done with that. All right, tail of the tape time. Tail of the tape.
Tail of the tape, as you can guess, the Cubs have the advantage in everything against the White Sox. Batting average, Cubs are hitting .235, 23rd in baseball. White Sox are hitting 216. That's last in all of baseball. Slug, Cubs have moved up to 22nd, 382 slug. White Sox are last in baseball, 342. Runners in scoring position, Cubs still struggling. They're 228, 28th in baseball. The White Sox, though, 208, which is 30th, last in all baseball. So for every hitting category we're looking at here, Dustin, the White Sox are dead last. Starting pitching ERA, Cubs have the advantage there. They're 6th in all of baseball at the 381 starter ERA, while the White Sox are 25th with a 468 ERA. And in reliever ERA, the Cubs, Dustin, how about this? Cracking the top 10.
That's unbelievable.
They are 8th best in all of baseball with an ERA of 366, while the White Sox are 28th with a 504 ERA out of that bullpen. Fielding-wise, the Cubs are have 12 defensive run saves. That's 15th in all of baseball. They made a couple errors this last series. Got to clean that up. And then the White Sox, negative 75 defensive run saves, by far last in all of baseball. So awful, awful team.
Awful team. But let's not get cocky. So game number 1, Friday night, Jamison Tyone, Garrett Crochet are your pitching probables.
Yep, 7-10 start at the South Side. Jamison Tyone, 7-6 with a 3.25 ERA in 19 games started with 86 strikeouts in 110 and 2/3 innings pitched. He struggled 2 starts ago before the trade deadline, giving up 6 runs in 4 1/3 innings to the Reds. He got on track against the Cardinals in his last start. He went 6 innings, only gave up 1 run, his 8th quality start in the last 10 games. He did not get a quality start when he faced the White Sox in June. He went 5 innings, gave up 5 runs on 10 hits. Tyone has a record of 0-0 lifetime against the White Sox in 5 games started with a 3.58 ERA. Only a handful of White Sox have seen JMO, with Nicky Lopez going 3 for 8 and Luis Robert going 1 for 8. We didn't think we'd see Garrett Crochet, as he was probably one of the White Sox best trade pieces, but Crochet and his agent requested a new contract from either the White Sox or whatever team he was going to be traded to if he was going to pitch in postseason baseball, right? So he's stuck with the Sox. I don't know if that was the greatest move. Crochet is 6-8 with a 3.19 ERA in 23 games started and a whopping 162 strikeouts and 118 and a third innings pitched. On July 23rd, he gave up 2 runs in 4 innings against the Rangers. On July 28th, he gave up 3 runs in 3 innings against the Mariners. In his last start, he gave up 1 run in 4 innings against the Twins. Now, I said earlier, Crochet's thrown 18 innings, which is more than all his previous major league innings combined. So you can see now that the White Sox are carefully managing his workload. Dustin, he hasn't thrown more than 4 innings since June 30th against the Rockies, where he gave up 2 runs in 7 innings. So it doesn't matter if he's giving up 1 run or he's pitching well. They're usually pulling him by the 4th. Crochet is 0-0 against the Cubs lifetime with a 4.50 ERA. All his work against the Cubs has come out of the bullpen, and that's only 4 innings of work. Only 3 Cubs have faced Crochet, and no one has more than 2 at-bats against him. Dustin, I'm wondering, though, look, the White Sox have nothing to play for other than to try to derail the Cubs' attempt to even try to get it back into this thing. But I'm just wondering, do you think Crochet, they give him a little bit more leash for this game, or do they still manage?
Great question. I don't see how you could. I don't know if they've even made an agreement with him, if they've made an agreement with the agent. I mean, it'd be nice to sit there and say, oh, yeah, big game. Maybe some fans show up because the White Sox made a move with the manager. Maybe Cub fans show up because, maybe they're within 4 of the wild card by the time we get to that game on Friday. But I don't think he goes more than 3 innings or a certain pitch count.
Well, Crochet does feature a 4-seam fastball and cutter, and they're 2 phenomenal pitches. He also throws a sweeper. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that one.
All right, game number 2. This is going to be Saturday night, a Fox game. Justin Steele throwing Chris Flexen for the Southsiders.
Yep, Justin Steele, 3-5 with the 3.33 ERA in 18 games with 104 strikeouts and 108 innings pitched. He struggled a bit since the All-Star break, but pitched well in his last start against the Cardinals, going 6 2/3, giving up 2 runs on 4 hits, 2 walks, and 6 Ks. But Dustin, we haven't seen a dominating performance like we saw from Justin before the All-Star break, especially the first couple innings that he comes into a game. First 3 innings really seem to be a struggle. He has not faced the White Sox this season, and only 3 White Sox hitters have seen Steele. The only one with more than 3 at-bats is Nick Senzel, who's 5-10 against Justin. So let's hope this gets him on track. Now, Chris Flexen is 2-11 with a 5.53 ERA in 24 games, 22 of those starts with 83 strikeouts and 114 innings. Flexen got pounded in his last start against the Twins, pitching only 1.2 innings and giving up 6 runs on 7 hits, 3 walks, and 3 Ks. But like we talked about in segment 1, Flexen pitched the game of his life against the Cubs on June 4th, going 5 innings and giving up only 1 run on 3 hits with no walks and 4 Ks. He took a no decision in that one. He's 0-1 lifetime against the Cubs with a 6.23 ERA in 7 games, 4 of those starts. Dansby's 8 for 13 lifetime against Flexen. Cody Bellinger is 3 for 10, and Nico is 3 for 8. Flexen features a 4-seam fastball, cutter, changeup, and curveball.
All right, those are the pitching matchups. Who's hot? Who's not?
Well, how about this, Dustin? We talked about this earlier. The bottom of the lineup, Pete Crow Armstrong, 7 for his last 20 with a double, a triple, and 3 RBIs. He's slashing 350, 381, 550. Dansby Swanson, 7 for his last 20 with a triple and 3 RBIs, slashing 350, 381, 450. And Michael Busch, 7 for his last 21 with 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, slashing 333, 391, 762.
On the not side?
On the not side, you have Isaac Paredes, 3 for his last 21 with the home run and 4 RBIs, hitting 143, 208, 286. Ian Happ, 2 for his last 19, 1 home run, 2 RBIs, slashing 105, 190, and 316.
Okay, so the White Sox, they actually have anybody hot?
They do, and they're both named Andrew. Andrew Benintendi, 7 for his last 22 with 3 home runs and 7 RBIs. 318, 348, 818 slug. Andrew Vaughn, 6 for his last 19 with 3 RBIs, slashing 316, 381, 526. Also has 4 doubles there, so be careful with those guys. After that, not too much to worry about. How about this, Dustin? Lenin Sosa, 3 for his last... Lenin Sosa, 3 for his last 23, hitting 130, 167, 130. How about Luis Roberts, 2 for his last 25. He's slashing .080, .080, .120. Always seems to do really well against the Cubs, though.
All right, prediction time.
Dustin, this is a complete trap series, which has me nervous as hell. Again, the White Sox, their fans have had a miserable a season as you could have. But if they could take 2 from the Cubs, it would be glorious. If they could take 1, their fan base would take it. So I feel like they're going to go all in on this. I still think, as bad as this team is, the Cubs are going to take 2 because I still feel that they're going to have Garrett Crochet on that pitch count, and the White Sox bullpen is nothing to really write home about.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what the White Sox players do here. If they rally around this, if they pout, if they feel relief. It's really troubling. I think you're right about the trap, and I'm going to say glass half full because, again, if the Cubs actually want to keep playing meaningful baseball, these are 2 you must get. That's a wrap. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Follow on the socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Email us, flythew670gmail.com. And you can watch us by subscribing to the 670 The Score YouTube channel. Crawly, what are you going to do a Sunday? No baseball on a Sunday.
I am going to just relax, and I don't even know. That it's so weird. It kind of still blows my mind that they're not going on a Sunday. It makes no sense, but I have no idea. All I'm going to say is I hope that everybody can make it down to the cell and cheer on the Cubs. Let's get those Northsiders going and take these 2 games and keep the momentum going. Go Cubs! Hey guys, it's Crawly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Go Cubs!